Welcome to the Astro Guide podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Zool. December is here, and with it comes the cold weather and the holidays. So get yourself a mug of hot chocolate and a candy cane, and let's see just what December has in store for us. Let's begin with our planetary roundup. Mercury begins the month lost in the glare of the sun, but it will reemerge in the morning sky, starting around mid-December, where it will be glowing at first magnitude in the twilight glow. The best mornings to spot Mercury will be the 19th through the 21st, when it will get to about 9 degrees above the southeastern horizon, while glowing around magnitude 0. As the month goes on, Mercury will get brighter, reaching magnitude minus 0.37 on the 31st, but it will be very low on the horizon. Start scanning the sky around 6:30 a.m. to spot elusive Mercury. On the morning of December 28th, look for the 6% waning crescent moon about 9 degrees to the right of Mercury. Red Antares is 1 degree to the left of the moon that morning. It should be a beautiful sight if you have a good enough horizon. Venus is shining brilliantly in the southwestern sky at sunset all month long. On December 1st at 5 p.m., Venus will be about 20 degrees above the horizon, shining at magnitude minus 4.2, while spanning 17 arcseconds wide, and showing a gibbous phase that is 67% illuminated. On the 1st, Venus sets at 7:31 p.m. On the 31st at 5 p.m., Venus will be 30 degrees above the southwestern horizon. It will be shining brilliantly at magnitude minus 4.4, while showing a 55% illuminated phase and spanning more than 22 arcseconds across. On the evening of December 4th, the 14% illuminated waxing crescent moon will be less than 3 degrees below Venus. This will be stunning to the naked eye and should be even nicer in binoculars. Spending all month long in Cancer, Mars rises at 8:26 p.m. on the 1st and will be shining at magnitude minus 0.5, and it appears to span more than 11 arcseconds across. On the 31st, Mars will rise just after 6 p.m. and transit the meridian at 1:38 a.m., and it's now glowing at magnitude minus 1.5, and its disk spans about 14 arcseconds across. While Mars is easy to see in binoculars, it's too small to show any features. However, seeing Martian features like the polar caps should be easy with a telescope. The atmospheric seeing greatly affects our view of bright objects like the moon and the planets, so good steady seeing will help you to pick out more details on the red planet. On the night of December 17th going into the morning of the 18th, the 90% illuminated waning gibbous moon will be about 1.5 degrees above Mars. This will be stunning visually with binoculars or a telescope at low power. Mars is putting on a great show now, and it will improve next month when the red planet reaches opposition. Jupiter, on the other hand, reaches opposition this month on December 7th, when it will rise at sunset and be visible all night long. Jupiter spends all month in the constellation Taurus the Bull. The largest planet in our solar system rises at 4:51 p.m. on the 1st and is glowing brightly at magnitude minus 2.8, while its disk spans 48 arcseconds across. By the end of the month, Jupiter rises at 2:38 p.m. and has faded slightly to magnitude minus 2.7, and its disk is now spanning 47 arcseconds across. You can see Jupiter as a small disk with binoculars, and you should be able to spot the 4 Galilean moons pretty easily. In a telescope, especially after spending a lot of time at the eyepiece, you can make out all kinds of interesting details in Jupiter's atmosphere. Being at or close to opposition this month makes for the best time to observe Jupiter. On the evening of December 14th, the nearly full moon will appear about 7 degrees to the left of Jupiter. Saturn will be in the southern sky in Aquarius at sunset on the 1st. The ring planet will be glowing at magnitude 0.9 and will transit the meridian when it's at its highest point and due south at 6:12 p.m. The planet's disk spans about 17 arcseconds across, while with the rings it spans about 41 arcseconds wide. Still in Aquarius at the end of the year, Saturn will be slightly fainter at magnitude 1.06, and with the rings, the planet now spans 38 arcseconds across. At month's end, Saturn transits the meridian at 6:16 p.m. and sets just before midnight. With binoculars, you can see Saturn and its rings, but they're best seen in a telescope, especially now as they appear very narrow. In 2025, the rings will appear on edge to us before they begin to open up again to their widest in 2039. In a telescope, Saturn is simply amazing. The rings will appear obvious, and with practice and good seeing, you might even see some of the other features in Saturn's atmosphere, as well as some of its brighter moons. Titan, the largest moon in our solar system, is around 8th magnitude and is easy to spot with most telescopes. We recently did an episode about astronomy basics and mentioned an app called Mobile Observatory. This app has tools within it to help you locate the moons of Saturn and Jupiter at any given time. I'll leave a link to that episode in the show notes. On December 7th, the 42% waxing crescent moon will be about 5.5 degrees below and to the right of Saturn in the southern sky. On the 8th, the moon will be about 7.5 degrees, slightly above and to the left of Saturn. Both of these events will be beautiful sights with the naked eye. Last month, Uranus was at opposition, so it is now above the horizon at sunset all month in the constellation Taurus. On the 1st, Uranus rises at 3:31 p.m. and transits the meridian at 10:41 p.m. Uranus is glowing dimly at magnitude 5.6, and its disk spans 3.5 arcseconds across. Under pristine dark skies, you can spot Uranus with the naked eye about 7 degrees southwest of the Pleiades, but it's best seen in binoculars or a telescope. By the end of the month, Uranus rises at 1:26 in the afternoon and transits at 8:35 p.m. Its size and brightness have not significantly changed. On the evening of December 12th, the nearly full moon will be a little more than 5 degrees away from Uranus and will be shining so brightly that it will make it difficult to see the planet that evening with the naked eye. But observers using binoculars or a telescope should still be able to spot it. Neptune spends all month long in Pisces. It glows faintly at magnitude 7.8 and only spans about 2.5 arcseconds wide, making it appear nearly stellar at low power, even in a telescope. In binoculars, it will appear as a faint bluish star. On the 1st, Neptune rises at 1:10 and transits the meridian at 7:04 p.m., setting at 1 in the morning. On New Year's Eve, Neptune transits the meridian at 5:06 p.m. and sets at 11 p.m. You can try to use Saturn to help you find it, as Saturn appears about 13 degrees to the west of Neptune all month long. Comet Tsuchinshan Atlas put on an excellent show in the last half of October through the first 2 weeks of November. I was fortunate to have taken images of the comet a total of 12 times in a 3-week span. Having heard the hype early on this comet, I actually imaged it back in May and June of this year, when it was still very faint, but already displaying a short tail. I wasn't able to image it again until mid-October, after it had passed perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun. The comet is now fading quickly. As December begins, the comet will be at magnitude 9.3 in Aquila, and by the end of December, it will have faded to fainter than 10th magnitude. So get your last views of this through a telescope soon. Hopefully you were able to see and enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime visitor. It has made my list of great comets. This year, the annual Geminid Meteor Shower peaks on the evening of December 13th. Unfortunately, the moon will be nearly full, and its reflected light will wash out all but the brightest meteors. The good news is that the Geminids are famous for having some brighter meteors. So while you won't be able to spot 100 or more per hour, you might be able to spot a few brighter Geminids amidst the moonlight. Now for a quick space mission update. On November 19th, SpaceX had another mostly successful test flight of the Starship, which is the largest, most powerful rocket ever built. During Test Flight 6, the Super Heavy booster didn't return to the launch pad, as was initially planned, instead making a water landing in the Gulf of Mexico. The Starship itself made a successful water landing in the Indian Ocean, as was seen by SpaceX's buoy cams. I'm sure that Integrated Flight Test 7 will be even more ambitious and exciting. Now it's time for the Lunar Feature of the Month. This month we're going to explore the lunar snowman. This trio of interesting craters lies just south of the lunar equator. Together, the craters Ptolemaeus, Alphonsus, and Arzachel comprise the snowman. Looking at them, Ptolemaeus is the largest of the three, forming the base of the snowman. Alphonsus is a bit smaller and represents the snowman's torso, while Arzachel represents the head of the snowman. This feature is best seen from first quarter moon till about 6 days past full moon. Let's take a closer look at the craters that make up the snowman. The crater Ptolemaeus is the largest and furthest north of the trio. This circular crater is 95 miles wide and 1.5 miles deep. The floor of the crater is nearly flat, with the 5-mile wide crater Ammonius above and to the right of the center of the crater. Alphonsus is just south of Ptolemaeus. This crater is about 73 miles wide and is a little deeper than Ptolemaeus. It has high-walled terraces and a small central peak. There are several valleys running north-south in the crater. Just south of Alphonsus is the crater Arzachel, the head of the snowman. This crater is 60 miles wide and about 2.5 miles deep. It has sharply terraced crater walls and a central peak that resembles what could be the nose of the snowman, and a bright valley running from the north to the south past the 5-mile wide crater Arzachel A. The three craters form an upside-down snowman with a slight tilt, kind of like his head might be melting off. Located between Alphonsus and Arzachel is the 24-mile wide, 1.5 miles deep crater Alpetragius. This crater features a large, rounded central peak that rises 1.25 miles off the floor of the crater. There is some evidence of volcanism that may have caused the central peak to be as large as it is. You can see the lunar snowman with binoculars, but it is best seen through a telescope. Hopefully, you'll give it a shot the next time you're out looking at the moon. Now it's time to move out of the solar system as we explore some Christmas-themed deep sky objects. Now, I have to be totally upfront here. I searched high and low, and there just aren't that many to choose from. I really had to do some digging. One of the things that I came across is the no longer recognized constellation Rangifer the reindeer. It was first placed on star charts in 1736 by the French astronomer Pierre-Charles Lemonnier. Rangifer is Latin for reindeer. This constellation was located between Cassiopeia and Cepheus, but it is no longer recognized as one of the 88 official constellations. Okay, I get it, that one's a bit of a stretch. Our next object is extremely easy to see, although today it's not really recognized universally for having anything to do with Christmas. I'm referring to the 3 stars that make up the belt of Orion, which in some cultures are referred to as the 3 kings. On December evenings, we're treated to the 3 kings rising in the east. They are represented by the stars Alnilam, Alnitak, and Mintaka. They are evenly spaced and shine brightly on winter evenings. Alright, the next one actually kind of screams Christmas. Let's explore NGC 2264, the Christmas tree cluster. In fact, this one's actually 2 objects in one, the Christmas tree cluster and the Cone Nebula. The pair is located in Monoceros and is well placed later in the evening this month. The pair is listed at magnitude 3.9 and spans 20 arc minutes in size. It is located 2,300 light years away from us. From a dark sky location, you can spot the Christmas tree cluster with the naked eye, where it will appear as a small, fuzzy patch. In binoculars, you'll be able to resolve many of the brighter stars in the cluster. But this object really shines in a telescope. And of all the clusters that have common names, the Christmas tree cluster really does look like a Christmas tree. I recall viewing this with my 8-inch Dob on a December evening many years ago on a hilltop in Vermont. The cluster looked amazing, and the Cone Nebula was easy to see. Using a nebula filter, we were able to even see some of the fainter nebulosity surrounding the cluster. The Christmas tree is easy to spot, even from moderately light-polluted skies. Next on our tour is M44, often called the Beehive Cluster, as well as Precipe, which is Latin for manger. So, there's something that fits with the Christmas story. Located in the constellation Cancer, Precipe glows brightly at magnitude 3.7 and spans about 1.5 degrees wide. It is located 610 light-years away from us. M44 is comprised of more than 1,000 stars and can be seen easily with the naked eye as a large fuzzy patch in the constellation Cancer. In binoculars, you can resolve several dozen stars, while in a telescope at low power, hundreds of stars can be observed. The cluster has several bright blue stars within it, adding to its beauty. And in 2016, this cluster gifted us 2 exoplanets that were discovered orbiting a star within the cluster. Our last object on this month's tour is NGC 2244 in the constellation Monoceros. This is another 2-for-1 object. It also is an open cluster and an emission nebula. The object is commonly known as the Rosette Nebula, but to me, using a little imagination, I think it looks like a wreath of red nebulosity, with many beautiful stars from the cluster being seen within the nebula. The pair is listed at magnitude 4.8. They are listed as spanning half a degree wide and are located about 5,000 light-years away from us. Between the cluster and the nebula, there are more than 2,500 stars that make up the rosette, the wreath. The cluster is easy to spot, as it has several 6th through 8th magnitude stars that form 2 lines that are almost parallel, right in the center of the wreath. You can easily spot it from dark skies as a naked-eye hazy patch of light, while with binoculars it appears as a grayish circular shape, larger than the full moon, and the brightest stars in the cluster within it are easy to spot. In a telescope at low power, you should be able to see the nebula as long as you're under dark enough skies. A nebula filter can help to bring it out. In long exposure images, the nebula shows lots of brighter and darker regions, along with a grouping of dark nebulae known as the Parade of Animals. Hopefully you'll go out and get to enjoy and share these holiday-themed objects for yourself, and may they bring you much happiness for your holidays. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you found our time together to be fun and helpful. If you have questions or episode suggestions, please email us at astroguidepodcast@gmail.com or leave us a text or a voicemail at 973-404-0380. If you're not already a member, please join the Astro Guide Podcast group on Facebook. You can also visit our YouTube channel, the Astro Guide Podcast, for past episodes and other surprises. Please do all the podcast YouTube-y things, such as like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really, really, really helps. If you'd like to help support the Astro Guide Podcast and YouTube channel, you can do that by buying us a cup of coffee. The money is used to maintain and update the equipment that we use to create and publish the show. The link is in the show notes. Thank you again for joining us, and may your skies be clear. As always, Carpe Noctem, seize the night.
I'm Wayne Zool, and this was the Astro Guide Podcast. Thank you for listening. As always, your questions, comments, and suggestions are welcome. Keep wondering. Keep your eyes on the sky. Have fun. Carpe Noctem. Seize the night.